On this video, I will teach you how to use the present progressive in Spanish so you can implement it in a real conversation. Hola mi gente, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Edward. I've been teaching languages for over 10 years. When I started my language journey, I could only speak my native language, Spanish. Now, I speak 4 languages. Let me tell you how I did it, so you can do it too. Here's the 4 things we're going to learn today about the present progressive. First, the formula, or the recipe, as I like to call it. How do you make the present progressive? What are the components? Second, time to show off is what I call this one, meaning when do we use it? When do we get to use the present progressive? Under what situations? And fourth, the what, meaning the question form. Now, before we get into today's video, you might notice sometimes in sentences like, for example, I eat apples every day. Yo como manzanas todos los días. Sometimes the yo is missing. Sometimes you just see como manzanas todos los días. What's that about? Well, you see, in Spanish, we have a thing called desinential subject. Desinential subject means that it is understood, it is evident by the verb who's talking, who is the subject of the sentence. Because in Spanish, we conjugate every verb for every person that speaks. We don't need to say it. What that means is that with every example that I give you on this video, and on any video where I'm teaching you grammar, it's an option. You can use yo, tú, él, ella, or not. I will always use it just to make it easier and clearer where the subject is, where the verb is, to make the structure more easily digestible, especially for beginners. But just always remember that. That's an option. Alrighty then, let's get started, let's get into it. So, the recipe, the formula. What is the formula for the present progressive in Spanish? Right, well, we begin with the subject, as we said before. For it to be easier, we just use the pronouns. After that comes estar, the verb to be in Spanish. And there are 2 verbs to be in Spanish, but for this one we're going to use estar, and it will be conjugated to the present simple. So if you haven't learned the present simple yet, go ahead and check out this video. I'll try to put it over there. I'll leave it in the description of the video as well. Go check out that video, present simple first, so that you learn how to conjugate estar in present simple. Once you've watched that video, come back to this one and we can continue from here. Or if you already know, let's just keep going. So, subject plus estar, conjugated in present simple, plus the verb of whatever action you're trying to describe. This one will be conjugated in what is called the gerund form. Now, if you don't know what a gerund is, don't be scared for the jargon. It just means the ing form of any verb. So, to sing, singing. To sing is the infinitive. Singing is the gerund. To draw is the infinitive. Drawing is the gerund. So it's simply just the ing form in English. In Spanish, it also has its own unique ending, but it's not just one like in English with ing. In Spanish, there are 2 options. The verb will either be ending in ando or yendo. What does it depend on? Well, remember, the irregular verbs in Spanish have 3 types, depending on their ending. If it ends in ar, like cantar, then the ending will be ando, and it will be the same for all of the pronouns. So it's easy, you'll just need to remember one for all of them. What about yendo? Well, if the verb ends in ir or er, like beber or vivir, then we change the ending into yendo. Vivir becomes viviendo. Beber becomes bebiendo. The same as the other one. Every single pronoun is going to be the same. Yendo, yendo, yendo for all the endings. Let's look at some examples. For an AR ending, let's take the verb hablar, to talk. We will say yo, then we need estar conjugated for the present tense. Yo estoy, and then hablar with ando at the end. So instead of hablar, hablando. Yo estoy hablando. How about tú? Tú plus estar conjugated for tú, which is estás. Tú estás, and then hablando. So the action, the main verb that you're trying to describe, will remain the same all throughout. We're just changing estar. Let's keep going. For él, ella, usted está hablando. Él está hablando. Ella está hablando. Usted está hablando. Very simple, right? Next is nosotros. Nosotros estamos hablando. And finally, ellos, ellas, ustedes. Ellos están hablando. Ellas están hablando. Ustedes están hablando. There you have it. Now let's look at a verb with ER ending. Comer. Well, same thing. Yo estoy. This is not different. The verb estar will be the same regardless. So, yo estoy comiendo. We change er, comer, into yendo, comiendo. Yo estoy comiendo. Tú estás comiendo. Él, ella, usted está comiendo. Nosotros estamos comiendo. Ellos, ellas, ustedes están comiendo. And finally, IR. What example can we use? Let's just use vivir, to live. Yo estoy, what do we change vivir into? Viviendo. There you go. Yo estoy viviendo. Tú estás viviendo. Él, ella, usted está viviendo. Nosotros estamos viviendo. Ellos, ellas, ustedes están viviendo. And that's it. How about you try to conjugate a verb of your own in the comments? Pick any verb, AR ending, ER ending, IR ending. If you can't think of any, try with cantar. What would cantar be in present progressive in Spanish? Leave it in the comments and I'll let you know if you've done it right. Alright, my friends. Point number 2. Time to show off. Or rather, when do we use the present progressive? Well, first we use it for actions that are happening at the moment we're talking. Like, estoy leyendo un libro. Yo estoy leyendo un libro. Yo, I, estoy, am, leyendo, reading, un libro, a book. So if you're reading a book in this very moment and you want to say that you are doing so, you say, estoy leyendo un libro. Another case is for temporary actions that are taking place in the present around the time you're talking, even if not in the very moment that you're speaking. For example, let's say you have an upcoming test and all week you've been studying for it. Well, you could say, yo estoy estudiando para el examen esta semana. And that would more or less translate to I've been studying all week for this test. Next is for actions in progress that will continue into the future. For example, ella está trabajando en un proyecto en este momento. She's working on a project right now. But of course it will continue into the future because the project doesn't end immediately. It's not an action of one single moment. It will carry on. The next one is for describing ongoing trends or changing situations, like the weather changes a lot. So you could say, el clima está cambiando rápidamente. The weather is changing rapidly. And the last one is for complaints or to talk about actions that you see as rather annoying. For example, you could say, tú siempre estás dejando tus cosas en mi habitación. Tú, the subject, siempre. That just means always. Estás, the verb to be. Dejando, the verb dejar. But we've changed it into the gerund. Dejando tus cosas, your things, en mi habitación, in my room. Alright, now the no, or the negative form. Just as it was with the present simple, the present progressive in Spanish is very easy to negate. All you have to do is make your sentence as you would in present progressive and then put a no in front of the verb to be. So, for example, if we say, yo estoy hablando, I am talking, where do we put the no? In front of the verb to be. Yo no estoy hablando. Simple, right? And now we've arrived at the what, meaning the question form. Once again, it's very simple. All we have to do is make the sentence as you would, and then put a question mark at the beginning, put a question mark at the end, and say it with the intonation of a question. And that's it. You don't need to change anything. So if you have the sentence, tú estás escuchando música, how would we make that into a question? Well, like I said, question mark at the beginning, question mark at the end, and you say, tú estás escuchando música, and that's it. If you like this video, check out this other one that you might find useful, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next lesson. Nos vemos.